y'all, it is Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am here with another art journal spread. This I am working in one of the Dilutions art journals, just with the white paper in it. And I'm going to work for the whole spread, not just a single page. This one arose out of, I think, some of my need to use some of the supplies I had. It's kind of been bothering me that I've got all of these supplies and I keep buying more, but I never seem to use them as much as I buy them. So I'm trying to use some things I hadn't used. I've got a big collection of some of the Hobby Lobby Master's Touch paints, just acrylic paints. And so that's what that is. That's a dark brown. I think it's like dark sepia, I think is the color. If you need to know, ask me in the comments and I'll find it and pull it out for you. So, and I am just spreading that around. That's also a Master's Touch, I believe. It's like a spatula type thing. It looks like a paintbrush, but it's really, I can't remember what you call the material, like rubbery. I don't know. And then that is some discontinued, I don't even know what brand it is, but it's just an ink, and you can see that it's not super dark, that where it spreads out there, it's kind of light, and that's probably my fault because it's really old. I've had it forever and never use it, and that's what I'm trying to do here is use this up. Now, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with this page. I gathered some supplies that, like I said, I never use, and just kind of dove in. And I know that in my making of things, I have really been wanting to include a little bit more of my uh, my love of things magical and mystical and paranormal, and you're going to start seeing a lot more things like that, a little more, a lot more fairies. I really have a thing for fairies. I don't know why. There's something, I don't know, just the magic of it. Anything magical, I love. So you're gonna maybe be seeing a little bit more of that in some of my art journaling. We'll see. We'll see. I haven't gone very far in this new realization that I want to include all of that in my art journaling, but we're gonna explore it some. Sometimes it's just gonna be play. So, and if you've watched my videos before, you know I love to collage. I love to glue down old papers and all of that, and that is all I'm doing. I've got a little bin over there of just some miscellaneous dictionary papers and ledger papers and all kinds of other things like that that I am just gluing down with an Oohoo glue stick. I didn't want to cover the page at all, but I did want to add that extra layer of texture that collage papers add. So here are the spray inks, and there's one acrylic ink that I've picked out. And I decided to start with the darkest, which is this Lindy's spray here. It is, some kind of coppery brown. I don't know. I'm awful about knowing them. Again, if you want to know what colors I use, give me a shout, and I'll drag it out and take a look at it. I should be more prepared when I do the voiceovers for these, but I'm not. I'm sorry. I cleaned up my craft room, put everything away, and I have no idea. Now, one of my favorite techniques is using a piece of plastic like that and the spray ink and just spraying it on there, and then you can put the splatter wherever you want. I learned this technique from another YouTube video, and I am sorry I do not remember who I saw do it. If you know who you've seen it from, definitely, kind of share that, because I'm at a loss. I don't remember, but I love the technique of putting that spray exactly where you want it, spreading it out as thick or thin as you want, and so I do that all the time. And I've got this, let's see, that one is I believe it's a Tattered Angels chalky type spray. So I thought it was going to be a little more opaque than it ends up being. I was trying to put it down on some of that brown, but you can see it really just doesn't show up very much. So I'm instead just spreading it wherever. So it's about to be spring, and I really guess I should have been trying to lean more towards the spring colors when I made this, but instead I'm for some reason doing some very fall inspired colors. I don't even know why, but that's fine. I just was kind of playing and grabbing things I thought went together, and somehow it ended up being autumn. I don't know. So next, I'm going to do something I've never done before. Wait, is that what? Yeah, I've got that Amsterdam ink, and I'm going to put it down on that piece of plastic and see if I can do something similar to what I do with the spray inks. And I'm going to spread it out with my paintbrush and put it down. And again, this is something I've never done before. I was experimenting, I was playing, I put it down, and oh my gosh, that is no, no, no. I'm going to wipe that off. So yeah, no, that didn't work. But look at me, I'm going to go and I'm going to try it again. And I go, nope, that's not it. So I'm going to put that off to the side. Just wipe that off of that on my under paper and drip that acrylic ink right onto the pages like I normally would use it. So I've got that down. I start by spreading it out a little bit with my paintbrush, and I realize it's just not really moving in any kind of way that I really like. So I'm going to grab my sprayer here and just kind of mist some water on it. And I almost immediately am like, why did I not do that from the beginning? So yeah, that was just silly of me. So I'm letting that acrylic ink just kind of drip and get all messy and pretty. And then I'm going to, from there, what am I going to do? I've got a dilution spray, and I believe that's the yellow in the dilutions, and oh, y'all, it was so clogged up. I do try to spread it with the stick end of it. What I end up doing here, you're going to see, is squeezing the top end. I've found that sometimes you can get it to spray out the bottom like that. And so that's kind of what I end up doing there. I did, after this, go through all of my spray inks and work through them to see which ones were clogged and unclog them. And I also took a little time to put stickers on, just white stickers on the top of all the lids, and put the colors up there so I was a little more sure about what colors I had. So I sprayed that one with water a little bit and let it drip. And then I'm coming back and I realized that that brown on there, it's just where the acrylic paint had been, was really dark. And I just needed to break it up a little. I needed something a little more opaque. And that's where my Distress Oxides come to the rescue. That is my absolute favorite thing about them. I did recently buy a um a package of some of the Distress Oxide sprays, so I will have a couple of opaque sprays to play around with here in the future. So, but for now, I'm sticking with the stamps. That's one of my hand carved stamps from an eraser. I love those. And I kind of just, like I said, broke up some of that brown on there because it just, I don't know why I didn't cover it up earlier. So here we go. I've got this package of Bo Bunny, what are they, like chipboard butterflies, and then one of the Tim Holtz paper dolls. Now those Bo Bunny I got at Tuesday morning, and I don't know, I'd picked them up once before and then put them back. And finally, when I saw them a second time, I was like, I don't know why I didn't buy these the first time. So when I bought them, there's only like 6 of them in the package, and they're $2. So it's, you got to kind of weigh whether it's worth it to you or not. So, but I knew I wanted to turn my little paper doll into a fairy. Like I said, I want to incorporate more fairies, and I actually just bought some more butterfly type things, stamps and die cuts and stuff like that, because this is probably my favorite method of making fairies, is to take pictures and put wings on them. And yeah, so now here that brown was continuing to bother me, how much of it there was and how dark it was and how it just drew the eye right in. So I have got some crackle paste. That's the Deco Art Media's crackle paste that I am spreading out, and like I said, just trying to break up that brown. And I kind of knew that I was going to put my fairy over there on the right side toward the middle, and but I didn't want to concentrate the crackle paste there in the middle, so I kind of spread it out so it feels a bit more organic. um, I was really methodical about this in a sense. I have sped this up at 2 times speed, so this may look like I'm going really slow, but in reality, I was going really slow spreading this out. So, and here's where I start to realize that, yeah, I needed more here in that center, because I was going to put that fairy down and she needed a good base, you know, kind of a neutral base for the background for her. So, once I get all of my crackle paste down, I'm going to put my art journal aside because crackle paste does best if you let it air dry. I mean, you can heat dry it, but the crackles just aren't going to be as amazing as if you let them air dry. So I decided I would go ahead and work on my fairy by cutting that butterfly in half and then clipping off like the body and the antennae. I think that's right. Clipping all that extra stuff off to make her wings. Now, isn't that pretty? I was so excited about this. And I don't know, I sat there and looked at it for a while trying to decide exactly where I was going to put it. And I know myself, I'm not like an exact person. So I don't know. I don't know why I fret over things like that looking at it when it's just going to get stuck there anyway. So next I'm going to take some heavy gloss gel. This is the Prima marketing stuff. And y'all look at that piddly paintbrush I grabbed. I don't know what I was thinking. That thing is just bobo. It's This is not the task that you need it for. And look at me, look at trying to mess with it, and I just knocked the wings right off. When I say about not being exact, I am not. So I'm going to get those wings on there, hold them. I'm trying not to get that gloss gel on anything else because it does leave a glossy finish on anything you get it on. So I'm going to put my fairy face down and leave it alone. And there's my big reveal of the crackles. Now that everything's air dried. So I am using Tiffany of Southern Gals Designs tip about using charcoal and a blending stump to kind of bring out the crackles. Now, there's not a whole lot of the charcoal on my blending stump, so I went ahead and added a little just straight onto the areas where I had my crackle, and then I'm going to blend that out so that this technique really does make your crackle pop. So thanks, Tiff, for sharing that technique. I think there are quite a few of us that use it now, because if you don't want to add any kind of ink or something onto your page to make those cracks appear, this is kind of perfect. It puts a little bit of darkness on them, and you'll see in the end that those cracks are pretty awesome. So from here, I am going to go on, and I don't know. I'm looking at how much time is left on here, and I'm like, how did I spend the next 8 minutes or 7 minutes with what's left to come on this page? But I do. So what I've got here is a baggie of some stacks of paper and fabric and whatnot that I sewed together while I had the sewing machine out one day. I just grabbed some scraps of stuff and sewed it all together, knowing that I could use it for focal points like this in my art journaling. Now, I know that's something you can do to make it personalized as you art journal, but for me, sometimes it's easier just to have it already done. So I did it. Now I also have some big print book pages. This is also a tip from Miss Tiffany. She is so inspiring. And so these big print or large print books are great for finding a fun little phrase. And I just grabbed the first one that popped out at me that says, "I really do see her," which I think is perfect when you're working with a fairy because, a lot of people don't see fairies. They don't believe in them, and I really do. So I really do see her is perfect for this page for me. So that is the phrase I cut out of my large print book, and I am trimming down my little paper and fabric stack there, and then I'm going to spend a second trying to fray that end that I cut because I don't want it to look, I don't know, I want to add the organicness of that back end there and don't look like I just snipped it off the end. So, and I'm going to lay everything out here, and now I clipped out some of the time I spend fiddling with it because, yeah, I kept laying it down and moving it, laying it down and moving it, and there I ripped off a little bit of extra of the paper because it was bothering me because it was bent, and yeah, so here's me fiddling with it some more, and here's why I clip it out, because I sat there and stared at it for like, I don't know, a minute. Weird. So I'm going to grab that piddly paintbrush again and try to put it on the back of that paper and fabric stack. Now while I'm using it, I'm realizing just, okay, first some of the glue got stuck to my finger and I couldn't get it off, but I'm spreading that out and I'm realizing how much of a huge pain that is, and wondering why in the world did I grab this paintbrush. So always use what you need. So here I'm going ahead and grabbing a better paintbrush that is a little more firm and sturdy, and I knew would be a lot easier to spread that out so that I could get my fairy covered with that gloss gel. Now, again, this is that gloss medium, which I don't really like using, but I have it. It's a great product. It's just I don't like the shiny. And if a little bit gets on your finger and you touch one of the fronts of that paper doll, then you've got a shiny spot on the front of your paper doll. Um, so that's my only problem with the gloss stuff. It works great to glue things down, um, especially heavier things. And these paper dolls are kind of a heavy cardstock, so you need something a little bit heavier to glue it down. So that's why I'm using it. And because it is heavy, I'm having to add plenty of the glue, and then I put my hand over it. I cut that out. I held my hand there for, I don't know, a little while before I go on and glue down my little phrase. And again, I'm using that gloss gel to put it down, but what I decide after I get it down is I really would like some medium over the top of it. So here I grab my matte gel um, to just put a layer over it. I kind of was thinking that if I got it on there thick enough and it dried, it might look encaustic like, but I didn't get it very thick, so it doesn't really give that. And maybe if I had added maybe some, I don't know, some kind of wax or color or something to it, I might have gotten more of that feel to covering it with the matte gel, but I didn't get that. But it is glued down nice and tight, and it's not shiny. So that's the important thing. It's not shiny. So once I get that down, I feel like I keep saying once I get that done, I grab a Stabilo Woody. That is, it's a watercolor crayon, and that's just a brown, and I'm going around the outside of my fairy. I felt like she needed some shadow to kind of lift her off of that page a bit, so I went around her with that Stabilo Woody to give her that shadow, and I'm just using a wet paintbrush just with water to go around her and, I don't know, spread that shadow out just a smidge. Now I'm going to add a couple other things here to further enhance her shadow and her magical abilities. And it kind of comes through in some of the pictures. I've got pictures here at the end of this, and in one of them you'll kind of see what I'm going to add here in a minute is some metallic watercolor paint in a like a coppery color to, fairies need their sparkle, they need their fairy dust, and so that's what I'm trying to add here with the metallic watercolors. And I guess it's not coppery, that's more of a golden, but anyway, I'm gonna go around her with that golden color that's got the bit of metallic and sparkle in it to add the fairy dust to my fairy. Now, again, the gold itself doesn't really show through. It's more of again, it's just kind of the sparkle that comes in there. So once I get it around her and around her feet, oh, and part of the reason um, I wanted her standing on that that little strip of paper stack is because I really, even though she's a fairy, I didn't want her floating. I wanted her kind of grounded. You can see her face here in the end, and she's a very like not head in the clouds kind of fairy. She's got her feet on the ground, and so I wanted her kind of grounded to something. So that's why she's actually standing on something here at the bottom and not floating around on the page. And you see, I did use a little bit of that watercolor paint and I splattered it just to give a few sparkles throughout the rest of the page. Again, they're not real prominent. You can see them if you hold it in the right light. So I tried that real quick and decided she still needed a little boost of something. So I've got a Stabilo all pencil in brown here, which is a bit darker than the Woody, and I am just going around the outside of her. I could have used some other kind of brown marker or pen or something like that I just kind of wanted to outline her a little bit, and that definitely helped. So I think we are and I take the wet paintbrush just to kind of blend that out. And we're about to come to the end of this, and I'm going to give you a couple pictures and show you my favorite parts, which are, for one thing, the crackle that shows through her wings there on the left side is amazing, and I really want you to see that. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of the sparkle. But I want to thank you so much for coming by and watching. Give me a thumbs up, make sure to comment with any questions, and here's a couple looks. So here's a look at the whole one, and here's a look at that crackle through the wings. Oh my gosh, y'all. And then here, if you look down at the bottom, you can see a little bit of that sparkle. All right, so here's a few more looks at it, and again, I thank y'all for watching. All right, guys, bye.